We are finally here. We get to finally find out what happened to Cobra at the Reverie. You gotta read it. You've been waiting for like 25 years for this at this point. Don't let me spoil it for you. Now, if you're still here, that means you read the chapter and you're ready to dive in. And man, it's a doozy. God, we actually hear a conversation with Imu in this chapter. It only took 1,000 chapters. It only took, what, 1,085 chapters to get the, I'm assuming, the big bad to kind of finally come out of his shell a little bit. This is like the game of silhouettes. The whole chapter is just, who is this? What is this? And then now online, what you're gonna see is speculation about what random shapes are supposed to be. Could it be a mythical Zoan? Could it be a god? Could this be some kind of ancient race that we don't know about? I don't know. I'm not gonna do any of that here because you're gonna find more than that. I'm just gonna talk about how I feel about this chapter. Does that make sense? I'm gonna talk about where I see this moving forward for me. So right away, we kick off right where we left off in the last chapter. Cobra knows it's over for him. He just saw somebody sit down in the chair. We know it's Imu. Everybody else knows it's Imu. But anyway, it's going on and Cobra's trying to act like he's sick, trying to fake it some kind of illness so he can get out of there early, but it's not happening. The Gorosei pull out their Glocks and then something else stabs him, some kind of weird shadowy, it looks kind of like a devil's tail, you know? Maybe a devil. I told you I'm not going to do that, but it could be the devil. Alright, so in this conversation, we basically get two things confirmed. I mean, three things were kind of like spoken about, but one of the things we already knew. I'll just go ahead and say that one. We already knew that the D were the enemy of them, the people up high, the world government, the leaders, the Gorosei, the Tenryubuto, all of that. That's been well established. That is not new, obviously. That's not a revelation. What is a revelation, though, is that Nefertiri Lily was a D. Nefertiri D Lily, or Nefertari D Lily. So that's pretty huge. So Vivi is a D, Cobra is a D, right? All of these Ds.
What you say?
Something new that this conversation reveals is that Lily did something very naughty, according to Imu. A mistake is what was said, so maybe it wasn't on purpose. Maybe, I heard some rumors out there, I heard some theories that this Imu is actually Nefertari's son or daughter, and it's kind of like a parallel to Doflamingo, so maybe she's referring to her mother making a terrible mistake. But who knows? I have my own really just kind of out there theory, but I don't really want to get too far into it. Maybe I'll share it a little later. Alright? But we're just going on. The Gorosei are pulling out their gats. Enough conversation has happened. We all know Cobra's about to die. Sabo's watching the whole thing, you know, and he's even remembering that a long time ago he asked Ace and Luffy about the D, and they were like, just fuck it. Here, you want a D? Saw Debo. Here you go. Just have it. You know? It really isn't that big a deal. Except, it kind of reminds me of like a flag. It's like something that they carry with them throughout the generations to represent rebellion, you know? That these are not gonna be the ones that you mess with. So, and that's kind of the way that we've seen them. Every D that we've seen so far has been a thorn in the side of the world government. One thing I really thought was cool though, when Sabo came into the fight, he bust out the Fire Fist, you know? Like, that is so impactful to me because that Fire Fist was made by Roger's son, right? And they worked so hard to kill, they did terrible, terrible things to wipe out any chance of Roger bearing a son or bearing a child. Even though it ultimately failed, I mean, the fact that his move is used against the Gorosei and Imu is kind of like that's Roger up there, man. Like, that's his influence. If it weren't for Roger, Ace wouldn't have been born, Ace wouldn't have made the Fire Fist, and Sabo wouldn't have gotten the fruit and used the Fire Fist. So, like, that's kind of like Roger made it, man. He got to this point in a way, you know, through his bloodline. Even though Sabo is not a D, you know, he has their will, you know, he has the will in them from a very young age. He's been rolling with them for a long time, and he doesn't like the world government the way he's set up, even though he would have been royalty if he'd have just played his cards right, or just did what he was gonna do. But ultimately, it doesn't really do much. They easily stop his attack. Emu just seems to just bite it with whatever shadow abilities they are. It could have been one of their other things. It's a whole bunch of silhouettes and shadows going on, and again, I didn't like zoom in or try to like really figure out who was who, because I know this game at this point. We're gonna see these things when they actually do appear, and they're gonna look almost completely different. Go back and look at the original silhouettes of the 7 warlords and tell me I'm lying, okay? Yeah, so ultimately Sabo's attack really wasn't, very effective, and he did try to grab Cobra and run away, but he got stabbed again in the process while Cobra was just pleading with him, like, bro, I'm not making it, get yourself out of here, you can still make it, and just make sure you tell Vivi we are also D. I don't really know how that's gonna mean anything, like what? But anywho, it happened, okay? And guess who's watching all of this unfold? Wapol, through a small hole in the wall. And I bet you this is probably how the guards know about the Phantom Room. They were probably peeking. I bet you a couple of guards got spotted, but I mean, come on, seal the hole, right? If they didn't. So this means that this hole has just been there for forever. Maybe he just, took a little nibble out of the wall. Like, what a nosy little piece of crap, Wapol. That is just the randomest thing ever, honestly, that he had been watching. And then he eats himself through the castle so he can, escape. And in doing so, he just happens to run into Vivi, who's being captured by CP0, and then helps her escape as well. So pretty cool, totally like random chance that all of that happened, but hey, this is One Piece. That stuff kind of happens a lot, so I'm down for it. I really did like it. And that's basically where we left off. Wapol has escaped with Vivi. We know that they go and join Big News Morgan, and they're, seemingly just getting away or escaping or trying to just lay low for a little bit. So yeah, Wapol is officially dead according to the world government, because as soon as they see him, he's dead on sight. And Vivi, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're going and just gonna go and just wipe out Alabasta right now. Why not? Just knock it out. There's nothing there. Well, we know that there's no, ancient weapon there. I don't really know how wealthy this country is. They've been trying to like restructure their, everything for the last 2 years after Crocodile just ruined everything that they had going. I'm sure they're still struggling. So, you know how the world government does it. I wouldn't be surprised if I didn't see them just get wiped off very soon. But that's speculation. I'm not here for that, okay? What I do believe, though, is that moving forward, we're going to be seeing a lot more Gorosei in action. I mean, it's evident because we already know that Saturn is already out and about. And now that we see these little silhouettes, maybe that was the silhouette that we saw already on Egghead Island. Maybe in Vegapunk's lab. Maybe he's already there causing havoc. He might be there to, thwart whatever plan they have of getting these people out of there safely and making it really difficult. But at the same time, we do get to see an example of, how strong they are. It's going to be soon. We're going to be able to see at least a little taste of what one Gorosei can do, and then we can speculate a little bit more accurately about what the rest of them can do. But yeah, so with these people being as powerful as they are, the Gorosei having whatever abilities they have, most likely it's some kind of devil fruit, but it could be anything at this point. And then Emu themselves having whatever seemingly even more power over them is just kind of insane. Now I'm really curious what these Holy Knights are going to have to offer. I was totally expecting to see a Holy Knight come in here and then just execute. I didn't think that they would get their hands dirty and just do it themselves. So that's pretty cool. That's really gangster. I really appreciate, how they're setting themselves up now as these villains, as these big bads. And now I can't wait for them to be taken down. But we're gonna have to wait till next week to find out a little bit more information. I bet you we'll finally go back to Egghead Island now that we see what these silhouettes can do. Either that, or we'll come back to Kamabaka Queendom and finish out this conversation between Sabo and Dragon and everybody, and maybe we get to see Dragon finally making a move. I'm here for it, man. I cannot wait. And who else, besides me anyway, thinks that Dragon was probably the first one looking through that little peephole, and that's probably why he has all the information he has? Right? Maybe he was one of the guards, like he was part of the Marines, as just following what Garp was doing, and he was so good at it and just enjoyed it so well that he probably got himself up into Pangaea Castle. Maybe he was an admiral, I don't know about all that, but he could have just gotten up there on Pangaea Castle, accidentally saw a little too much, and kept it a secret, because that hole is still there and not covered up, which I totally expect that they would be able to do and stop somebody else from looking into this sacred room that they don't want anybody to look at. Yeah, very weird if they just left that on purpose. But yeah, what do you think? Let me know in the comments. This is like a really fun chapter. Again, we've been waiting 25 years to find this, and we're finally this much closer to finding all of the mysteries of this One Piece world. They're gonna be at our fingertips soon. We're gonna be able to, honestly, it's probably gonna be very sad because we have all this time to think and theorize and just kind of make up our own stuff in our heads, and it's like wonder. It has this mystery, this wonder to it, and it's about to be revealed, and it's not gonna be wondrous anymore. It's just gonna be what it is, and we're gonna have to accept it. So I hope it's great, and I hope everybody else out there can accept it for what it is. I'll see you next week. Peace.